Doing a wellness check on the United States of America in the year 2025 as National Guard troops sweep into the blue states is exactly the same as doing a wellness check on Ashley Babbitt in 2025. When I was like 10 or 11 years old, me and my friends, we used to light poop on fire, put on someone's doorstep. Then we'd ring the bell, we'd run and hide behind a bush and laugh at them as they came out to stomp the fire. Getting poo-poo all over their shoes, all over their boots. Don't step on it with your boots, Jim. I imagine we got it from this movie right here, right? But to me, this perfectly sums up the Republican Party for most of, if not all, of my life. They set everything on fire. A financial disaster, 2008. 2 wars. 2 elected wars. And then in this guy's first term, another financial disaster, right? Then they wait. They go hide behind a bush like me and my friends. They wait for someone else to put it out. And most of the time, it's the Democrats. And when the Democrats go to put out the fire that they started on the doorstep, what happens? They get their boots covered in the GOP, covered in the Republican Party's poop. And from behind that bush, they giggle, they laugh. Look over there. Look at those guys trying to fix the problem we created. They got poop all over their shoes. Eggs are $7 under them, right? It must be the fault of the people who stepped on the poop bag, and it works. And why wouldn't it work? You know, this trick we used to do, we were 10, 11, 12 years old, and that is the exact same reading level of the average American in this country. It's the perfect metaphor. Poop again. And so once again, here we are at this clown with the flamethrower. He finally went and did the thing, said the thing we all knew was coming.
As you all know, Chicago's a killing field right now. And they don't acknowledge it. And they say, we don't need him. Freedom, freedom. He's a dictator. He's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator.
A lot of people.
I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense and I'm a smart person.
I'm a smart person. I got a big brain. Any smart person I've ever met, any genius I've met, they've always had to preface it with, I'm a really smart person, because I couldn't tell. But the thing he said, right, is how he preps everybody for what's coming. A lot of people are saying this. This is how he preps you for what he's doing. And here's the very next day.
And a lot of people are so the line is that I'm a dictator, but I stop crime.
See?
So a lot of people say, you know, if that's the case, I'd rather have a dictator. But I'm not a dictator. I just know how to stop crime. And
He says a lot of people say that I'm a dictator because I stop crime, and that's a good thing. Normalization. And the Republican Party is made up of such chicken shits. I mean, what are they melted down about this week? Not this, not troops in the street. I think they're still worried about Cracker Barrel. The crackers are worried about Cracker Barrel.
Maybe you are familiar with it, the frog in boiling water metaphor that seeks to illustrate the difference between sudden and gradual.
Yeah, having trouble spitting that out, lady who was a Republican her entire life? I've been talking about the frog boiling for 20 years. I'm glad you stumbled through that to try and explain it. I'm glad mainstream media is finally catching up. But the point of this episode, please don't leave, please don't leave. The point of this episode, the argument I have is that it's too late. But you know who's not picking the country clean? Today's sponsor. Stop leaving yourself vulnerable to data breaches and brokers. Go to my sponsor today, Aura.com, the Chud Report. You'll get a 14-day free trial and see if any of your data has been exposed. Have you ever Googled yourself? It's a horror show. Every month, a new company has a breach with your data, and there are zero consequences for it with this administration. Take example, Facebook. They leak 16 billion passwords. 16 billion. No problem. Zuckerberg will just give Trump $30 million and a golden VR headset. Here you go. Thanks, guy. Last month, it was Ticketmaster getting popped, leaking not just your credit card info, but the fact that you paid $400 to see a washed-up 1980s hairband, right? Every day, it's AI scrapers just sucking up all your posts to sell you as a voter profile. Your data has never been more vulnerable. And unless you have a spare 30 million lying around like Zuck here, you need someone actually on your side. You need Aura. Aura is my personal digital bouncer. Aura monitors the dark web 24/7 and alerts me instantly when my personal information is exposed. Right away, as soon as they find it. It's not some buried email I find a month later. If someone tries to open a credit card or bank account in my name, Aura notifies me right when it happens. And that's happened a couple times, actually. From outright malicious attacks like that to the constant calls, the constant spam calls, Aura has never been more critical. I don't get spam calls anymore. They'll even hunt down these data brokers right here, selling your information and file opt-out requests for you, slashing off these scams before they even start. And listen to this, because I talked about this at a party I was at this last weekend. Yes, I do stuff. I still go out and do stuff. Aura is so confident in their protection that they will give you $5 million. Think about that. $5 million in identity theft insurance if the worst happens. Just give Aura a couple weeks and you'll stop seeing your info plastered all over these sketchy sites. What does that mean? Less spam, less risk, more peace of mind. Here, go right here. This is my link, Aura.com, the Chud Report. 14 days for free. What do you got to lose? That will be enough time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data has been exposed. And if any of you got Aura out there, leave a comment. Let others know how it worked out for you. Back to this, because I believe, sorry, don't leave again, this is the last stop for the American Republic. If it's your first time here, I'm your host, MJ. This is the Chud Report. Make sure you like and subscribe.
But Kristen, this is how wars ultimately get settled. If you go back to World War II, if you go back to World War I, if you go back to every major conflict in human history, they all end with some kind of negotiation.
They all end with some kind of negotiation. I find it hard to believe J.D. Vance right there doesn't know how World War II ended. But what I don't find hard to believe is the guy whose literal job in the Marines was to sit in an air-conditioned trailer in North Carolina, 4,000 miles away, and write propaganda to send my friends to Bush's 2 wars. I can tell you, him saying it all ended with a negotiation is intentional. Adolf offered himself, Mussolini being strung up by his own people, and the complete unconditional surrender from Japan and Germany. I come from a meth town just like J.D. Vance, a small town filled to the brim with idiots. We've hit our idiot quota in Price, Utah. And even there, we were taught history of World War II. There was no negotiation. But the subtext is clear. Fascism never really lost, right? It was negotiated out. The people did not rise up. We did not win this war because we were fighting fascists. It never really died. George Carlin had a great bit on it. He said America won the battle with World War II, but fascism won the war. And I'd show you that clip, but the people who control George Carlin's content, if I even just show 10 seconds, they claim on it. And YouTube lets them with CMS, so I'm not going to show it to you so I don't get a strike and have to get it out of their queue. And it makes you wonder how the party that labeled themselves the Patriots after 9/11 and haven't shut up about it since, it makes you wonder how they can support this Maybelline mascara boy who sat in a trailer diminishing the last real war America had ever won. And at this point, I want to tell you about my wife's grandpa. He was a World War II vet. And you know, the way people talk about that generation now, they try to turn them into these cartoon characters, right? These tough guys, cigar chomping hard asses who never felt, but that's not how he talked about the war, ever. Right? When he talked about surviving that absolute meat grinder war, his takeaway wasn't, we were tougher than everybody else. We're patriots, we're Americans. It wasn't that. His focus, and the focus on the guys he knew, was what came next. What was it all for? Why did they go over there and fight them? And the answer he had was to help people, right? On building a world where the next generation wouldn't have to go through that same hell. Generation stared into the abyss and came back asking, how do we make sure we never have to do this again? J.D. Vance says, it was all a negotiation at the end of it. They sacrificed for a future they knew they would never fully see. It's why they're called the greatest generation. That generation is gone now. And the people we're left with, these Republican, these conservative boomers, they're called boomers because they exploded everything that generation had left before them. They're the ones who inherited the peace and prosperity that people like my wife's grandpa fought for, came back with, and tried to create for future generations. And just one generation later, the children of these World War II veterans, this is all they're reduced to. Mine, 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 mine. You know what I mean? That's it. The reason I split this into two is because there is a huge difference between Republican boomers and Democratic or left-leaning or even center boomers, right? Because the right was able to weaponize this. The take mine, mine, mine. They weaponized it, and instinctively, they called it your freedom. The freedom not to care about your neighbor. The freedom to pull up the ladder once you got yours, right? My wife's grandpa went through actual hell on earth, and his first thought returning to this country was his duty to the others. Social Security, I got mine. The housing market, mine. I got a cheap house, college, it was all cheap for me, mine. Now you could rent forever. The environment, what do I care? I got mine. I'm not gonna live forever, I got mine. The future can figure itself out, I got mine. The screw you Republican generation. They act like they were born on third base and they convince themselves they hit a triple. Now what they're trying to sell you is just tearing down the entire stadium for spare parts so they can take it with them when they leave. The Republican single generation's 9/11 is literally changing a logo on a restaurant. Right? We've traded a generation of builders for a generation of angry, squawking consumers, and they are picking the country clean. They have picked the country clean, right down to the bone. The only way the left could fix this, in fact, the only way the center of this country could fix the damage that has been done, what's it been? 8 months, that's all we're in. There's no midterms this year. We still have a year and a half left. The only way they can fix the damage that has been done, the damage that is coming, which is just another train ready to bolt through our car stuck on the tracks, is to go the other way. To go the other way, to skirt the Supreme Court, which they would need to do, to go all the way to the left, to swing it back, just to get back to the center, which I support doing that, obviously. Countries that enter this pendulum of retribution, I have a spoiler alert, it never ends well. Back to this metaphor, right? Richard Nixon was a flaming bag of poo. Back then, Republicans still had enough of those people I was talking about, enough of the greatest generation, enough of a social conscience that they walked up and they stepped on their own bag of poo. They walked up and they told Nixon he had to resign. And while they were stepping on it, watching from behind the curtain was Roger Ailes, right? Mr. Fox News, Richard Nixon's head of media. And he had a premonition about what the future will be. He had an epiphany. As that same Roger Ailes went on to become the media guru for Ronald Reagan, the long con had begun. He was drawing up a plan to make sure that a party would never, ever have to stomp. Well, not a party, specifically the Republican Party, would never have to stomp out its own poop again. Ailes understood that people in this country are followers. The majority of people in this country just follow along. They followed God. They follow their friends. They follow daddy. They go into his same business. You know what I mean? Reagan took the religious right that bubbled up under Jimmy Carter and he weaponized it because he realized he could create a political identity for these people, these followers in these country, these mindless people. Didn't matter that Reagan raised taxes 6 times. He had dementia his second term. By the way, how's Big Boy? How's Kinkles? Look at those Kinkles. How's his hand doing today? It didn't matter because Reagan usurped God and melded it into the flag. He melded it into trickle-down economics, which is just socialism for the rich. He combined all these things that are with us today, melding God literally into the fabric of our country. And Kinkles right here became a perfect archetype of Reagan's 1980s man, right? It didn't matter that he was given $500 million to start his business because the followers of this country believe that if they just followed, they too would be allowed into this club. The 1980s were the beginning of switching out God in their pyramid for switching in people like Kinkles right here, right? And it was something the followers were being prepped for, for the next 40 years. People followed him for the exact same reason. Not because he's good, not because he's smart, bankruptcy all the time. You know what I mean? It's because he was on their TV. He was the promise. He was the personification of Reaganism. And ultimately, to these people, he was the promise of God. And it's really in here when you understand what this stuff about the flag is. The American flag doesn't mean a damn thing to me, right? It's a prop these days for the weak-minded zombies who could no longer articulate their beliefs without the injection of conspiracy theories, without the injection of their persecutions. It's not a symbol of freedom. It's a tombstone of something that died a long time ago.
About nothing. That means that all those pardons that he gave to some very bad people, very unpatriotic people, very evil people, it looks to me like those pardons are worthless. Because, number one, you shouldn't use an auto pen very specifically. But if you do, it has to be a very good reason. And they have to know
political persecution.
The president wanted it. The president didn't want this.
Right.
The president didn't know he was alive, okay? He never approved any of this stuff. He wasn't for open borders and all the other things. He was never for open borders. I've known Biden a long time. He was never very sharp, but he was never in favor of open borders and all of the other things he did to destroy our country. Let's go.
Lastly, what do we have here?
Executive order on flag burning. It charges your attorney general.
Would you listen to this?
Listen to it, people.
Flag burning. All over the country, they're burning flags.
Not really.
All over the world, they burn the American flag.
Not really.
And as you know, through a very sad court, I guess it was a 5-4 decision, they called it freedom of speech. But there's another reason, which is perhaps much more important. It's called death. Because what happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. If you have hundreds of people, they go crazy. You can do other things. You can burn this piece of paper. But when you burn the American flag, it incites riots at levels that we've never seen before. People go
never
crazy.
Seen before.
In a way, both
you
ways.
Mean like this?
There are some that are going crazy for doing it. There are others that are angry.
Not like that.
Angry about them doing it. Do you want to discuss that?
Sure. So what the executive order does, sir, it charges your Department of Justice with investigating instances of flag burning. And then where there's evidence of criminal activity, where prosecution wouldn't fall afoul of the First Amendment, and instructs the Department of Justice to prosecute those who are engaged in these instances of flag burning.
And what the penalty is going to be, if you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail, no early exits, no nothing. You get 1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, you get, and what it does is incite to riot. I hope they
hit a cop with a flag.
Did they?
Yeah, incitement is
incite to riot.
What about an actual riot?
You burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get 10 years, you don't get 1 month. You get 1 year in jail, and it goes on your record. And you will see flag burning stopping immediately, just like when I signed the Statute and Monument Act. 10 years in jail if you hurt any of our beautiful monuments. Everybody left town.
You're rambling. Anyone out there who ever had the audacity to sport this flag, to pretend it was part of their identity. I'm so sick of seeing chuds with this flag on them. To pretend they even know what it means. They need to have this ripped off their shirt. They need to have it ripped off their flagpoles. They need it ripped off their trucks. It needs to be rolled up and it needs to be shoved up every single one of them's ignorant. Because let me tell you something. You know what sparked one of the main things of why this flag exists? You genius. The British quartering of troops, a legal army in the colonial states. Does that sound familiar to anybody? These flag huggers have probably never even heard of the Posse Comitatus Act. They probably think it's something that you get to do when you're a celebrity. When you're a celebrity, they let you do it. They let you grab the posse. In 1878, this law says the military can't be used for domestic law. And then the sentence ends. You know what I mean? And why 1878? They're probably like, oh, well, that's not the number on my sleeve. Oh, the only number I know is 1790. What happened in 1878, Scooter? Because we just got done with Reconstruction, and everybody, North and South, were pretty sick of having federal troops policing American cities. Turns out when you use the military to police your own people, it never ends well. This is colonialism turned inward. It's fascism. These followers who've spent 40 years screaming about government overreach, who've been screaming about their states' rights, they're now cheering, this orange buffoon as he uses the state National Guard. He takes the National Guard from red states, from Republican states. You telling me he's not prepping for a civil war? He's not trying to incite it? He takes them from the shittiest red states and sends them to these blue states. Don't treat on me! They scream as they literally tread on everybody else. This act has exactly 4 exceptions. Invasion, not happening. Rebellion, not happening. National disaster, well, let's send some blue down to Texas to help out with their voting lines because Texas can't seem to handle their own national disasters. And when Congress specifically authorizes it. Now, that last one, I would imagine this Congress checks and balances. What's that? Don't step on snack. It's only a matter of time before they authorize it. Every single one of these military officers they're sending swore an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. But guess what? When you use the military to settle political scores, when you use the military to intimidate voters, you become the domestic enemy. But the people with this flag don't know this. They don't even consider it. You know why? Because they're followers. And when you're a follower, you don't have to think about this stuff, right? They saw a guy in a red hat say, "Send in the troops." So they started chanting. That's what we're reduced to. That's why it's over. They have no idea. They're cheering for the exact thing. Remember when they all pretended like they knew the Constitution? I know a Constitution. You know the Second Amendment. You don't know the Constitution from your ass from a hole in the ground, right? They have no idea what the Founding Fathers specifically wrote to prevent. All they know how to do is follow. And that brings us to the fairy tale right here.
Problem in Congress. You have Democrats that will never vote for anything. I could say that we're going to lower your taxes by 50%. We're going to guarantee you free cities, safe cities. Nobody will ever get touched, beat up.
For that one.
We're going to give you the greatest country ever. We need your vote. And they won't vote. And they do it in unison. The only thing they do good is cheat on elections and unite.
Democrats
you know unite. Not because they're good or they're loyal people. They unite because they're afraid.
I don't know what's the bigger fairy tale, that Donald Trump, this guy right here, will protect you from being, or that Democrats could ever actually unite on anything. But this is the dictator fairy tale that they all tell. I'm the only one that can save you. This is the oldest form. This is tried and true of authoritarianism, right? This flag right here needs to be taken back. The last thing this flag means is giving up your freedom, especially in these coming years. Trust me. But the people who fly it, the people that put it on their hat, the people that meld it into their personality have no idea what a social contract is. They wear the flag because they're followers. They saw someone else wearing it during the Tea Party. So they all started dressing like this because other people were dressing like it. It's all they do. They were such followers, they convinced themselves that billionaires, the very people that sparked this, the very people who gambled away their life savings in 2008, they needed more tax cuts, right? It's a cult. And this flag should be ripped away from them because it means nothing. I mean, he has these people sit around the table and praise him like he's Kim Jong-un.
When you ran for president to make America safe again. And today, the average family and individual that lives in this country is safer than they've been in years because of what you've done.
One knows there's no stronger advocate for hardworking American families.
They just go one by one.
Friends in the room. Thank you for saving college football, by the way. We're all very grateful.
It's disturbing. I mean, it's overused, right? I hate to say it over and over again, but just 10 years ago, this would be disturbing to this country. If the judge just play in their mind, Obama sitting around with his cabinet and forcing each one of them to go around and tell him how great he is. I mean, this is what they said they were trying to protect us from with Obama, right? Oh my God. This goes on for 20, 30 minutes. Just them praising him over and over, right? And he's doing all this while the National Guard is taking people from failed red states, shitty red states, and injecting them into our blue states.
This is from 2024 data. Jackson, Mississippi, at the top of the list. D.C. is number 11 there, but you have a whole bunch of other cities that he is not talking about. Memphis, among them, Dayton, Ohio, Cleveland, and the like. You cover the White House, Tyler. What is the planning right now inside the White House? And is he actually going to go after any red states?
Is he going to go after any red states? Come on, man. I mean, how is that not a declaration of war, right? That looks like a civil war. Taking people from red states, violent red states. Mississippi is still a third world country. Alabama, Memphis, right? He's taking them from those violent cities and he's putting them in blue cities. And the thing is, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's arming them now, right? He's giving them guns because he knows exactly what he wants to happen. He wants an incident, and that way we get martial law. Don't step on my snake. What do you think that means? You insufferable.
And how about it? And we want nothing less than $500 million from Harvard. Don't negotiate, Linda. They've been too bad. Don't negotiate. Go ahead.
Those educational elites were people like Ted Cruz, Ron DeSantis, where they all went. Go get them. It's pretty funny stuff, right? And because there are soldiers from red states now in blue cities, you still need that conspiracy theory because aforementioned, you are an idiot. And you need to follow what's next. And what's next is just another conspiracy.
And you've also found many bags of information. I think they call them burn bags. They're supposed to be burned, and they didn't get burned, having to do with how corrupt the 2020 election was. And when will that all come out?
When will it come out, Tulsi?
Mr. President, I will be the first to brief you once we have that information collected. But you're right. We are finding documents literally tucked away in the back of safes and random offices in these bags and in other areas, which again speaks to the intent of those who are trying to hide the truth from the American people and trying to cover up the politicization that was led by people like John Brennan and James Clapper and others.
You hear what's going on? There was a
really
plot, and they just happened to stick all the evidence, one of the greatest plots to overtake democracy ever. They put all this evidence in burn bags, and then after they got away with it, they left those burn bags out for 5 years, whatever it was. And 8 months into this administration, all of a sudden, Tulsi's like, what are these burn bags in the corner with every piece of evidence in them? You know what I mean? I guess they forgot to burn it after getting away with one of the biggest heists ever.
It was very effective. And he knows those computers better than anybody, all those computers, those vote counting computers. And we ended up winning Pennsylvania.
I mean, the burn bags aren't the same as admitting that Elon Musk knows those vote counting computers in Pennsylvania. You have to venture outside this channel. You can look at people that comment on it, right? This guy asked ChatGPT about the counties. Tell me about the counties. You know what I mean? Even though when you break it down, he won by 300,000 votes, if you believe that he won, right? And then he goes on to prescribe all of us with TDS. This is what they're still doing. We're 10 years into this. They've been using this TDS for 10 years. They have not tired out from it. They still think it's a dank burn. Describing people not in your cult with a syndrome. He uses this 10-year-old thing that they think is a slur. And then he goes on to finish it by calling a politician daddy. Daddy's home, child. Daddy's home. Do you understand what I'm saying here? RFK has some ideas on what are destroying people's minds.
Autism, if I could, I don't want to go too long because we have a lot of people, but the autism is such a tremendous horror show what's happening in our country and some other countries, but mostly our country. How are you doing?
How you doing?
Very well. We will have announcements as promised in September.
Dictator!
We're finding certain interventions now that are clearly, almost certainly causing us.
Interventions causing it.
And we're going to be able to address those in September.
It's such a big day.
Huge day. For RFK, I have an idea what's melting people's minds in this country. It's not that hard. It's not the COVID vaccine, all right? And looking at these people's teeth, I don't think it's the fluoride. I don't think it's the fluoride in the water causing that. Okay? I think I know what's destroying people's minds in this country. I think I know what has, in fact, finally finished the country off. And that is this red hat, the Chud Report. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I know this episode was a bit of a downer. It actually took me a minute to film this one. I don't know if it's a good episode. A lot of this is still raw in me. I'm really mad. So it's hard for me to make light of a lot of stuff. It's one of those episodes where I say, like, I hope you liked it, but I hope you don't like it. You know what I mean? With the algorithm absolutely destroying this channel, if you want to support us, if you want to help out, make sure you visit Aura. Give him a chance for 14 days. I think you'll like it. If you want to support even more, become a member of the channel. Join up. You get to see some old episodes. We're doing lives again. I don't know if you guys have seen that. We've been going live. So your comments are highlighted. I get to talk to you. But yeah, this one made me mad. So hopefully it turns out okay. I don't know because I haven't edited it yet. I'm still in the past. This is the past MJ, right? We'll see what happens. We'll see if future MJ can make it better. But that's all I got for you. Good Chud Report.
And a lot of people have so the line is that I'm a dictator, but I stop crime. So a lot of people say, if that's the case, I'd rather have a dictator.